It can be so hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you have high interest debt. And sometimes it can be even harder to ask for help. That's where Upstart comes in. Upstart powered personal loans can help you pay down high interest debt, all online with simple and easy to understand payment items. Upstart has helped over 1.8 million customers on their path to financial freedom. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses, Upstart can help you get one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. What I love about Upstart is they know that you're more than just your credit score. So rather than looking at your credit score alone, Upstart's model considers other factors like your income, employment, and other information provided in your loan application to find you a smart rate for your loan. You can check your rate in minutes for loans between $1,000 to $50,000 without impacting your credit score. You can even receive funds as fast as one business day after accepting your loan. Don't wait and check your rate today at upstart.com/ratchet. That's upstart.com/ratchet to check your rate today. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/ratchet. My online business is off to a good start this year, but I realize things aren't getting any less crazy. With ShipStation, you'll never have to worry about shipping again. Make the switch to a solution that handles all your shipping needs quickly, affordably, and painlessly. ShipStation is already trusted by over 100,000 e-commerce sellers, including me. Now, my favorite thing about ShipStation is it allows me to keep track of orders from any sales channel. I can automate just about any shipping task with just a few clicks. With ShipStation, you save time by funneling all your orders into one simple interface, no matter where you're selling. You can manage every order, Amazon, eBay, Etsy, or like me, your own personal website from anywhere, even your phone. Ship more in less time with ShipStation. Use my offer code RESPECT to get a 60-day free trial. That's 2 months free of no hassle, stress-free shipping. Just go to ShipStation.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and type in RESPECT. ShipStation. Make ship happen. Does it make sense that the same company who controls half of online retail also passively eavesdrops on your private conversations at home? What about the idea that a single company controls 90% of internet searches, runs your email service, and gets to track everything you do on your smartphone? Big tech is more powerful than most countries are, and they profit by exploiting your personal data. It's time to put a layer of protection between your online activity and these tech juggernauts, and that's why I use ExpressVPN. Think about how much of your life is on the internet. Sadly, every site you visit, video you watch, or message you send gets tracked and data mined. But when you run ExpressVPN on your device, the software hides your IP address, something big tech can use to personally identify you. So ExpressVPN makes your activity harder to trace and sell to advertisers. What I like most about ExpressVPN is how easy it is to use. Download the app on your phone or computer, tap one button, and you're protected. So stop handing over your personal data to the big tech monopoly that mines your activity and sells your information. Protect yourself with the VPN I trust to keep me safe online. Visit expressvpn.com/ratchet. That's expressvpn.com/ratchet to get 3 extra months free. Go to expressvpn.com/ratchet right now to learn more. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, you are listening to Ratchet and Respectable with Demetria L. Lucas. I'm going to give you a heads up. Today's podcast has next to no structure. I have a list of things that I want to talk about, but I'm also in a bad mood. I'm liable to say anything at this point. Let's start with how the day began. The day began absolutely wonderfully. I woke up early and I did my stretches and I put on the final episode of the Oprah show. I watched it over the weekend and I found it so inspirational. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to begin starting my day with something like inspirational, like have my coffee or my tea and just have a moment to just like sit and think about what I want to accomplish for the day, as opposed to like waking up, grabbing my phone and then going into like 10 mode until I go to sleep like 18 hours later. So I was like, you know what? Let's try like a new process for the day. So I got up and I put on my Oprah and I had taken all these notes. And I'd watched this episode over the weekend and I'd taken so many notes. And I was like, I wanted like not just have these notes like placed on this this wall I have in my house where I keep like organizational charts of like, you know, like my meetings and when the ship dates are for like various product launches or this other big project that I'm working on, like due dates for that, other stuff or whatever. But I have like this wall that I keep, that I post like all this information on. And then I also have quotes on there. And so I was like, I want these quotes to like stick into my head until they become second nature to me. And I changed my way of thinking into some of the things that Oprah said. And one of the things that she says, your life is speaking to you. What is it saying? There's another one that says, take risks. I'm sorry, that's not an Oprah quote. That's from Rebecca Pearson on This Is Us. But that's a good one too. But Oprah says, you are worthy because you are born and because you are here. Your being here, your being alive makes worthiness your birthright. You are enough. There's another one. She says, I wait and I listen for the guidance that is greater than my meager mind. The only time I've made mistakes is when I didn't listen. She says, your life is always speaking to you. She says also, this is the last one I'm going to quote for you. She says, each of you has your own platform. Mine is a stage in a studio. Yours is wherever you are. So this is just a small change that I'm making in my life. I have a list of things that I want to do differently, changes that I want to make. I believe in making change in small steps. I'm not like a big radical change person. I mean, radical change over time, not radical change immediately. I don't want to like shock my system. So this is one of the changes. Oddly enough, one of the other changes were I had this great idea when I was on hiatus. I wanted to change the podcast. And my idea was that I would make every Tuesday episode a respectable episode, and then every Friday would be the Ratchet episode. So all the good Black news on Tuesday, all the uplifting stories, all of the Oprah-esque quotes or Rebecca Pearson-esque quotes, and we would have like more of a not necessarily like a life coaching session. I mean, I am a certified life coach, but I choose not to act in that capacity for various reasons. It's just not something I'm just in the season for right now. That's not the point. The point is, I had this idea. I was going to change the format of Ratchet and Respectable. I went to Leading Women Define. I was sitting with one of my friends, Latham. You know Latham the doula. Mama Glow Latham. You know her. Okay. So I was sitting there talking to Latham, and Latham's like the sweetest person in the whole wide world. So I was telling Latham, I was like, yeah, so this is what I think I'm going to do for the podcast. And Latham was like, who asked for that? I said, what you mean, who asked for that? And I was like, this was just an idea that I had. Like, I want to like, play with the format. She said, ain't nobody asked you to play with the format. We asked you to do the podcast as promised on Tuesday and on Friday. Nobody said anything to you about changing the format of the podcast. This is not a good idea. I was like, no, Latham, because, there's people who like the Ratchet and there's people who like the Respectable. And she was like, no. It's Ratchet and Respectable. I want it all together at once. I don't want it separate. She was very upset about it. And she was like, no. So if you like the format of the podcast as is, thank Latham. Send her a little message and say thank you. I was hell bent. I think this is the move. And she was like, no. I say that to say all change is not good, but some change is. And I'm working on finding like effective change in my life. I'm experimenting with different things to see how they like work out for me. And I will keep what works and I will take away what does not. I'm going to not try to play with the podcast because I've mentioned it to several other people and the response is pretty much the same. They're all faithful listeners. And they were like, nobody asked for that shit. Just get it to me on Tuesday and Friday. I mean, Wednesday and Saturday is fine too. Just get me my podcast as I want it. Nobody asked for changes. And I was like, okay, all right, just bring it down to a 10. Anyway, So I went to the gym. I had a wonderful workout. I had a list of things that I wanted to accomplish in the gym in terms of my cardio and in terms of like my muscle building. And I did a really great job with that today. Like I felt like I gave my life and soul to the gym this morning. Like I was like, if this shit don't reflect on the scale or in inches, more importantly, on my body, I'm going to Ghana at the end of the month. It's 90 degrees every day. I will be by somebody's pool. I will be half naked most of somebody's day. I'm not trying to embarrass myself or my family name. I don't really care what white people think, but I was like, I do care what other black people think. I don't want to be like an embarrassment to American blackness in front of like African blackness. So I'm doing what I can to pull myself together. I mean, for this Ghana trip and then overall in general. I told you I was not at my best self. And I was like, I'm tired of just like being like, oh, well, I'm not at my best self. Like, no, let me actually go put in the work to like be at my best self. How about that? So that's where I am. But I got a call. I'm trying to temper how I share this. I got a call and it was like, Demetria, can you write this thing? It's the cover story I've been talking about. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you know, there's been an ongoing issue with the cover story. So like finding the time to write the cover story and get it in and then getting the edits back, which were pretty brutal. And then having to rewrite the cover story, which, you know, I was up for between doing like the entire run that's required for the podcast, between like the research, the taping, the editing, and shipping it in. And then as soon as that went in, like, you know, ordering food, eating, so like off for an hour and then rewriting the cover story. Like I was up for like 32, 34 hours straight to get it done with the edits and adjustments that were asked for. So I was asked to write this cover story and they told me who the person was, but they said like, you know, we came to you because we saw how you wrote about Niecy and Jessica. And we really want to tell like that kind of Black love story. Great. I love talking about dating and relationships, talking about like Black love, Black couples. Like, yeah, I think this would be a great story to tell. So I interviewed the subject. I wrote the story based on the interview that they gave and they didn't like it. And they also were like, well, you know, this isn't the love story that I expected it to be. And I was just, well, you know, to be frank with you, what you gave me as a story isn't a love story. Niecy and Jessica, I don't remember what time that interview was. It was either 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. These two popped up on my Zoom. It was a big couch. They were sitting right up next to each other on this big ass couch in matching Versace robes, looking just cute as fuck at 9 a.m. And then they finished each other's sentences. And I wrote in the piece about them that, and I don't mean this as any commentary on their maturity overall, but I wrote this in the piece and I think they received it in the way that I meant it. But they behave like teenagers in love. And I mean that to say that like people who have never had their heart broken before, like they just have this wide open kind of love and energy and interaction where they're just like fully free, fully open to whatever from each other. Like it's very rare to see it. And because it's so rare, it's something that's worth commenting on. And it's not to say that if you don't have that kind of like, you know, a teenage love, a wide open love, or exactly that kind of like mushy, all in, gaze in your eyes, finish each other's sentences kind of love, that your love story is not worthy, that it's not equal. But it's like, if it is that, then it's, you know, it's something worth writing that this is how they love. But if it's not, then it's just not. The subject was really upset and they were like, well, you know, this isn't how she wrote about Niecy and Jessica. And I was like, well, because you're not Niecy and Jessica. It doesn't mean your shit is wrong. You know, I talk about Steve and Marjorie all the time. I think there was an episode ago. I talked about Will Packer and his wife, Mrs. Packer. Forgive me, I don't know her name. I mean, no disrespect, but I hope she finds it respectful that I called her Mrs. Packer. But I think they're fucking adorable. Like Niecy and Jessica are kind of like an attached at the hip kind of couple. And that's not a bad thing. That's what works for them. I don't get that impression from Mr. and Mrs. Packer. But when they come together, they look like they have a good ass time. Will gets on Instagram. He'll take a picture of his wife and be like, this woman is stalking me. She follows me everywhere. Sir, you'd be miserable if she wasn't there. It's exciting. I like that shit. Steve and Marjorie, their love is not Mr. and Mrs. Packer. It's also not Niecy and Jessica. It's an entirely different kind of thing. They have a whole different way of loving, and it doesn't make their loving wrong. It doesn't make their loving better or worse. It just makes it different in a way that they love and works for them. Steve be everywhere. Steve be working his ass off, but Steve also be real quick to be like, I gotta get home to my girl. Steve is in his 60s? Marjorie is a 55, 56-year-old woman. Steve talking about, I gotta get home to my girl. They got a different kind of love. That's not Niecy Jessica love. That's not Mr. and Mrs. Packer love. But it doesn't need to be. So I wrote about this subject and their love, and she was really upset. And she was just like, you're not capturing my love. And I was like, subject, I captured it. Maybe you don't like the reflection that I gave back to you of what you showed me. I don't think what you showed me was bad. But it's not Niecy, it's not Jessica, and it's not Mr. and Mrs. Packer, and it's not Steve and Marjorie, and it's not traditional, but it's yours, and it's working for you, and I don't see the freaking problem. So I sent in my version of the story, and the publication came back and said, they're not happy. And I was like, what do you want me to do with that? Like, I'm not writing for them. I'm writing for you because you're my editor and you contracted me. And I'm writing for the audience because, my job as a journalist is to, be a representative of the reader. I get access to the person, but my job is to ask the questions that the reader wants to know. Like, what would they ask if they had the opportunity to sit in front of, this person? So they were like, yeah, so-and-so, like they came back and they had like this list of changes that they wanted you to make. And, in terms of tone and add quotes and do this and do that. And I was like, like in 20 some odd years as a journalist, I've never been asked to make adjustments based on what the subject wants, unless I'm writing a press release. Because I used to do that too. That was a very lucrative thing when I was in my early 20s. I used to write the press releases for like new artists for like a bunch of record companies. That's how a lot of writers get their start and keep their rent paid in New York. So yeah, I did that. But I was like, this is not that. This is not a press release. Like, you hired me as a journalist. Like, I'm writing as a journalist. Again, I'll make all the edits you want as an editor. But I was like, I'm not writing to make the subject happy. And so I stay up and I do this like 34 hour stretch to get, the podcast done and to get this piece done. I turn it in and it's like the first version, keep it 100, wasn't my best. On a tight deadline, had to get the shit in. Second version, when you knock it out the fucking park. I knocked it out the fucking park. Editor was like, I think it's amazing. Entertainment editor was like, I think it's amazing. And just for clarity, I'm not talking about Essence or Hollywood Reporter, because those are the places that I've written for most recently. So people would just naturally assume. I just want to take that off the table. It's neither one of them. So the editor is like, we're good. The entertainment editor is like, we're good. For whatever reason, they choose to seek approval from the subject. That's a publication issue. I've never heard of it before, but it's something that happened. The subject hates it. And she was like, it's just not giving Black love. And they were like, like, this is a really good story and it actually represents you in like a really great light. She was like, I hate it. So you know what they did to my story? They scrapped it. They scrapped my story. They're paying me my full rate, which is literally the only reason I'm not blasting them right now. But I say all this to say, right? When we did the negotiations, they said, subject reached out to us and they said, we want Demetria to write the cover because she did Niecy and Jessica. They said, great. We know Demetria. Demetria is a great writer. We're on it. So they reached out to me. They're like, hey, D, can you write this cover story? I said, sure. Here's my rate. They said, ooh, that's not what we pay. We pay half your rate. And I was like, oh, I appreciate that. But no, I can't write the story for that rate. And they were like, Demetria, like, it's a really good story and it's a cover and it's blah, blah, blah. And I said, yes, I just did a cover like 2 weeks ago it was a historic issue for Essence. And I just did Hollywood Reporter. And I interviewed like the lead actor on like one of my favorite shows. Like, yeah, I understand, but this is my rate. And they were like, oh, can you do it for XYZ? And I was like, I can't. Like, this is my rate. And they were like, oh, well, can you do it for XYZ plus Y? And I was like, no, this is my rate. And so they were like, well, can you do X, like, minus, like, a teeny bit, like a bit? I was like, why don't you cut your word count and pay me my rate? And so it will be within your budget. And then you'll also get a solid story that'll be slightly shorter than what you're accustomed to doing. So that way I get my rate and you have something that's, like, within a budget that you can work with. And they said, cool, let's do that. That's a mistake. Because the truth of the matter is, if someone really wants you and they think you're worthwhile, they're just going to pay you your rate. And if they can't afford you, then they just can't. And that's it. So I feel like when all of these things come to a head, it's like they felt like I was being paid too much and I felt like I wasn't being paid enough. And then like you got this artist in the middle who's like, this isn't what I want, blah, blah, blah. And then it just becomes a headache all the way around. And I was like, I should have known from the beginning. Like when I accepted literally less than what my product is worth, I already had fucked myself in the beginning. So I take full accountability for this whole thing. And I was like, let me use this as a lesson learned. And I've learned this lesson before. It just didn't take. This time, it'll take. But I'm like annoyed because I was like, yo, like I worked my ass off to write this shit. Like I really wanted to go out for Oscar weekend and I didn't because I was like stuck in the house writing this piece. And I had no issue with that because I was like, you know what? I took this assignment. This is what I agreed to do. I didn't hit it by the deadline that I was supposed to. And so I can't go out partying when I have this deadline hanging over my head. Because as a former editor, it's mad disrespectful when you're like waiting on a piece for somebody and then you see them on Instagram like partying it away. Or you run into them at the party. Like, I've done my work. I've done my 60 hours this week. What the fuck are you doing here when you owe me a story? That's a whole nother issue. Lesson learned. Feeling your best starts with what you eat. Sakara helps you to not just live a healthy, balanced lifestyle, but truly enjoy it with delicious plant-rich meals and functional wellness essentials that build a foundation for radiant health. Sakara is a wellness company anchored in food as medicine on a mission to nourish your body through the power of plants. Sakara gives you the tools you need to transform your life with their organic, ready-to-eat meal delivery program and functional wellness essentials. Their nutritionally designed, chef-crafted breakfasts, lunches, and dinners are made with powerful plant-based ingredients, helping boost your energy, support your digestion, curb your sugar cravings, and my favorite part, get your skin glowing. Plus, it's all delivered right to your door. And right now, Sakara is offering our listeners 20% off their first order when they go to sakara.com/ratchet or enter code RATCHET at checkout. That's Sakara, SAKARA.com/ratchet to get 20% off your first order. Sakara.com/ratchet. Does it make sense that the same company who controls half of online retail also passively eavesdrops on your private conversations at home? What about the idea that a single company controls 90% of internet searches, runs your email service, and gets to track everything you do on your smartphone? Big tech is more powerful than most countries are, and they profit by exploiting your personal data. It's time to put a layer of protection between your online activity and these tech juggernauts. And that's why I use ExpressVPN. Think about how much of your life is on the internet. Sadly, every site you visit, video you watch, or message you send gets tracked and data mined. But when you run ExpressVPN on your device, the software hides your IP address, something big tech can use to personally identify you. So ExpressVPN makes your activity harder to trace and sell to advertisers. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your internet data to keep you safe from hackers and eavesdroppers on your network. And ExpressVPN does all of this without slowing your connection. That's why it's rated the #1 VPN service by Mashable and Tech Radar. What I like most about ExpressVPN is how easy it is to use. Download the app on your phone or computer, tap one button, and you're protected. So stop handing over your personal data to the big tech monopoly that mines your activity and sells your information. Protect yourself with the VPN I trust to keep me safe online. Visit expressvpn.com/ratchet. That's expressvpn.com/ratchet to get 3 extra months free. Go to expressvpn.com/ratchet right now to learn more. I did like nothing this weekend. I wanted to go do things, but I ended up staying in the house most of the weekend. I just didn't have the energy. I don't know what's up with me, but I was just like, I just kind of want to chill. I kind of want to don't do shit. So I didn't because I can. It was Grammy weekend. Grammys were in Vegas, not in LA. A bunch of my friends went to the Grammys. A bunch of people hit me and was like, "Are you here?" And I was like, "No, I'm not. I could have gone, but I would have had to like pay out the ass and then like run around to like a bunch of different parties trying to finagle onto somebody's list or be somebody's plus one, which is cool. Like some weekends, but like Grammy weekend, people tend to be like really strict at the door. And I was like, I'm not trying to stand at the door trying to like talk my way in. Like if I don't have an invite or I'm not with somebody who has like a legitimate plus one or is throwing the event, because that's also part of my grown up life. Now my friends are actually the people who are in charge of events. I was like, I could have gone. I'm good. I don't even work with music like that anyway. I'm far more TV film. So yeah, it looked like a good ass time. While we're on the subject, congratulations to the Jazmine. She won her first Grammy for Hotels. I love Jazmine Sullivan. She looks so pretty. She had this beautiful black and white. It looked like leather. Black and white suits are having a moment. Tamron. I call her Tam Tam in my head. Tamron Hall had on this beautiful black and white suit the other day. It was so gorgeous. So gorgeous that I like randomly posted it in my Instagram stories. Because sometimes you just got to like give people their goddamn. She looked amazing. But Jazmine Sullivan also looked amazing while she was accepting her Grammy. She looked absolutely beautiful. But I'm like, okay, so now that Jazmine has like her Grammy, like with haste, can we get her on like, it doesn't have to be like the observatory because Adele already did that, but can we get her on like, you know, some big outside concert with like the sun setting in the background? Can she have her very big moment to like stand in a gown and look very, very beautiful and sing her songs? Like she has enough of a catalog. Jazmine Sullivan has like a good solid like 10 to 12 songs that she could sing for us. That are like good songs, not like even filler shit, but like good songs. But I was like, I'm waiting patiently on like my Jazmine Sullivan live moment. Thank you. Kindly, with haste. I want my full Jazmine Sullivan moment. Thank you. I saw Silk Sonic. They won a Grammy, which was unsurprising to me because they're fucking amazing. I don't know who else won Grammys. I didn't watch. I didn't care. I saw SZA. SZA won a Grammy. I think she won it with somebody else. Was it Doja Cat? I saw SZA going to the stage on crutches. I saw her long ass dress with the train and her in crutches trying to get on the stage. I also saw her get up from a table with like a team full of people. And I was like, and so none of y'all thought maybe we should help the girl with crutches get on the stage, or we should, you know, help fix her gown or anything. And if you didn't even think it in the moment, at the point where you saw Lady Gaga bent over fixing SZA's gown, nobody at SZA's table thought like, oh shit, let's go fix the gown. Let's like help our person get to the stage in peace. Not so much. But God bless Lady Gaga. She's on one for being like a good human over the last couple of weeks. She also with the Oscars, there was a moment with her and Liza Minnelli. I didn't watch the Oscars until maybe like 5 days after the Oscars. Like I was all talked out about that Will Smith situation, which we're going to have to address just a teeny tiny bit. We're not doing a whole segment. I'm so sick of talking about Will Smith. Gaga had a moment with Liza Minnelli. Liza was on stage in a wheelchair and she looked very nervous. She was fumbling with her cue cards when they were doing the announcement and the microphone picked up Gaga. It was, oh my God, I got like a little, you heard that like catch in my voice? Gaga leaned over to Liza Minnelli and she told her, she said, don't worry, I got you. And Liza said back to her, she said, I know. I just thought that was a cute moment. Like, oh, like she recognizes the good people in Gaga and she knows that she's in good hands. I appreciated that. But shout out to Lady Gaga because she really could have sat there and ate her food and drank her liquor and be like, ooh, it's so sad. That girl on crutches ain't got nobody to help her. But she bent over and like, you know, got the gown right. I'm not going to say SZA fire your people, but SZA, have a conversation with your people because they left you out there, sis, and I don't like that for you. You're a Grammy Award winner. Make sure people come fix your fucking gown. Do we want to talk about the Oscars? Not really. Can we just talk about frivolous shit? I'm just not serious right now. I've been drinking red wine, in case you can't hear it in my voice or in my commentary. I'm not like drunk. I'm just on like glass, like 1.5. It's 6:50 p.m. on a Monday. It's after 5 o'clock where I am, so I'm in good standing. What's on this list? We have a bunch of TV stuff on this list, but I actually want to talk seriously about most of the TV stuff, except for the part about Wood Harris's ass. We'll get to that in a second. Oh, can we talk about fashion diplomacy? I know we just talked about Tamron Hall, and we talked about Jazmine Sullivan and how she looked amazing in her black and white. I want to talk about Tiffany Haddish. Because Tiffany Haddish, early on in her career, she had bought this very expensive white dress. I want to say it was like $4,000. And Tiffany was like, look, I just got on I don't know how long this on lasts, but I paid $4,000 for this goddamn dress, and I'm gonna wear it everywhere. And she looked good in the dress. Let me first point that out. She looked good in the dress. I'm also not one of those people who believes that you only wear something once, or even that you only wear something and post it once. I have a closet of clothes. It's a closet that I have carefully cultivated over years to create a wardrobe. I like my clothes. I own my clothes. I don't rent them like a lot of people do. And I will wear my shit more than once and feel really good about it. You know who else does that? Michelle Obama. You know who else does that? Oh, Kate. Kate's the wife of the heir apparent to the British throne. If she can wear her own shit twice and Michelle Obama can wear her own shit twice, I don't know why anybody else would think twice about it. Maybe y'all got money to burn to buy a new outfit every time y'all go somewhere. I don't. I have other things that I'd rather spend my money on than impressing strangers on the internet. I buy good shit that lasts and I wear it more than once. I say all that to say, Tiffany Haddish has been looking fucking amazing as of late, and I just want to shout her out for looking fucking amazing. She has picked up the fine art of fashion diplomacy. I saw her clip that went viral recently. This reporter, I want to say it was from E! News, asked Tiffany, they said, she's like, oh, did you do a costume change? Tiffany basically went off on the girl. I mean, politely, but off nonetheless. And was like, I am not wearing a costume. I paid for this. I am rich. You were looking at black excellence, black wealth, black luxury. Like, she went on a whole thing. And I was like, I didn't really think the girl deserved all of that. Some other people were like, oh no, to call her outfit a costume as if she was acting and couldn't afford it. And I was like, People were like, that was a microaggression. And I was like, I mean, okay. If you're being super sensitive, I can see it. Whatever. But she was like, this is custom Dolce and Gabbana. And I was like, but you look good. And she wore custom Prada the other day to the Grammys. And she also looked good. Ma'am had told us, I want to say a few months ago, maybe it was over the summer. Maybe it was more than a few months. But ma'am had told us that she had lost 50 pounds. And I was like, I didn't feel like she had 50 pounds to lose. I thought she looked fine the way she was. But she said that she lost 50 pounds. And she does look very, very nice. And her custom gowns do look very, very nice. And so I just wanted to applaud her, because I remember that early on I had said some things about Tiffany Haddish, and it wasn't necessarily the way she was dressed. It was when she, I want to say maybe it was like her first Oscars, and she was like a huge celeb. It was right after Girls Trip. Everyone knew who she was and was really excited about her. And she saw Meryl Streep, and she got so excited in her beautiful Oscar gown on a carpet that she very much deserved to be on, because she was in a movie that had grossed over $100 million. She hopped over this rope to greet Meryl Streep, and Meryl Streep acted like she didn't know who the fuck she was. And I was like, you're way too good for that shit. People took that totally out of context, and they were like, you're just being mean. It's respectability politics. And I was like, no. Had she done that shit for Oprah? Had she done that shit for like Gladys Knight or Patti LaBelle or Viola Davis or like, I don't know, Angela Bassett? I don't know, Cicely Tyson, who was alive at the time, I wouldn't have had shit to say about it. But I was like, you hopping over a fucking rope for Meryl Streep? And Meryl Streep is an amazing actress. She's also a blonde white woman, and she doesn't need to be hopped over a rope for. Just say hi. Hi, Meryl. Y'all on equal footing. She got an invite to the Oscars. You got an invite to the Oscars. She has a couple Oscars. You'll get one. Tiffany plays a lot of joke roles. But Tiffany, I think, is someone who, in time, when she's ready for it, can zero in on because comedy is really like a fine line between like, it's like comedy and tragedy. When Tiffy's ready, because I'm treating her like she family now. When Tiffy's ready, Tiffy will cross over into the tragedy side of things, and she'll do drama very, very well, I believe. Some of our best dramatic actors began their careers as comedians. Whoopi Goldberg, Celie, Color Purple. That was her first role. She was a whole comedian before she did Celie. Tom Hanks, comedian. Marlon fucking Wayans. I'm about to give a huge spoiler away. Sorry, it's been over a week. In Bel Air, as Will's daddy, Marlon, bruh. You went from white chicks to that? I mean, not really, because he also was like the abusive husband in the Aretha Franklin movie with Jennifer Hudson. Ted was up there with Ike Turner. Look, Marlon gonna have to stop playing these abusive men roles so well. Because he showed up on Bel Air looking a hot-ass mess, like he was down bad. And I was like, yo, is Marlon Wayans all right? Like, I know it's acting, but you know, sometimes people just jump so far into the character. You're like, bruh, is this how you living right now? Are you on hard times in real life? Because you look on hard times, sir. He played the hell out of that role. To the point that I was really like, Marlon Wayans is a deadbeat dad who's been in prison for the last 10 years. He played the hell out of that role. But I was like, Marlon got one more high profile role as an ain't shit degenerate dude before we really start thinking something's wrong with Marlon Wayans. The same way we look at Michael Ealy and be like, something wrong with that boy. Now, he's a very attractive man, but when you see Michael Ealy, same with Bel Air, right? As soon as Michael Ealy came on the scene, we didn't know nothing about the storyline or where it was going. Everybody was like, oh, stay away. Because when we see Michael Ealy, because of the roles that he has played over like 2 decades, when we see Michael Ealy, we automatically assume it's some shenanigans about to occur. You gonna try to kill somebody? You try to dangle them kids out the window? In that other movie, you was hiding under that lady's bed because you was a stalker and a killer? Or you gonna be some kind of hoe? Were you trying to break up somebody's happy marriage? As soon as we see Michael Ealy walk into a scene, we already start thinking the worst. That's gonna happen to Marlon too. I told this story on Instagram earlier today. Omari Hardwick almost cursed me out. I asked people, I said, did I tell you the Omari Hardwick story with the patty pie? And they were like, no, you didn't tell us this story. It happened in 2018, and that's the year before I started the podcast. That's why. One year at Essence Festival, I was charged with interviewing a bunch of celebrities for Essence. I was going to be one of the celebrity interviewers for Essence.com. There were so many celebs available at the time that the entertainment editor was running one set of interviews, and then I was handling another set of interviews. One of the people I was charged with handling was Omari Hardwick, who was on Power at the time. So like, you know, huge star. Our day got thrown off because I was also doing this activation for Walmart where I had to interview Patti LaBelle about the patty pies. And I wasn't fucking up an interview with Patti LaBelle. So say Patti LaBelle was scheduled for like 3 o'clock. Patti LaBelle, maybe like 15 minutes before the interview is supposed to start, says that she's not feeling so good. She's had a very long day and she'd been out on like the Walmart stage for like most of the day. And she says she needs like 45 minutes to lay it down and recharge. What we going to do? We're going to tell Patti LaBelle, like, either figure it out or we're not going to do it? Because Patti LaBelle would be very much like, well, we're not going to do it and get the fuck on. So we're like, oh, okay, well, 45 minutes delay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out for Patti LaBelle. So we're trying to reschedule Omari Hardwick. And we explained to Omari Hardwick, so like, here's the issue. It's not that Patti LaBelle is more important than you. Patti LaBelle is like a woman of a certain age. She is a living legend. She just pushed the interview, which is throwing everybody's timeline off. So can you come in early or can you come in after? And can you meet us in room A? Omari's people say, we understand. Patti's situation, we understand. Much respect to Patti, no issues. We can meet you in room A at XYZ time. Okay. Patti interview happens. Once Patti gets her 45 minutes, Patti shows up ready to work. The thing was supposed to take 30 minutes to shoot because we thought we needed to do several takes. Patti came on, ultimate professional. We shoot it in 15. We're all good to go. We go to room A to set up for the Omari interview. Somebody else is in room A. Shit. We got to move it to somewhere else. The other room that's available, because we got backups just in case stuff like this happens, is room B. Room B is on the other side of the convention center. If you've ever been to the New Orleans Convention Center, it is very, very large. So to walk from room A to room B, it's like a 7-minute trot, which all in all is not that long. But if you imagine just walking 7 minutes, it's like, yeah, it's a bop. So Omari's people get there. Omari's people are unhappy. Omari's like, I already, agreed to do this interview at a later time, and I have plans, and I had this, and I had that. Now you got me going from here to there, blah, blah, blah. And I get it. We keep making changes, and even though we've explained the changes and the reasons behind them, maybe it's coming off unprofessional because all these changes are happening. But it's like, sir, we are here, we are ready, we are on time. We just need you to move from this one room to the other room. He's having a fit. My producer calls me and it's like, Omari is really upset. He doesn't want to go to room B. There's somebody in room A. can you come and can you like, can you help? Can you talk to him? Can you whatever? So I like run out. I'm in heels, by the way. I run out to where Omari is in like room A. So I do like my 7-minute brisk walk to where Omari is, which by the way, he could have been to me by then, but he's still in room A. I'm like, Omari, I'm so sorry for this, for this back and forth. I respect your time. I respect that, we made several changes and, this is what you planned for, but, we really, really want you. And this is, this is the interview that we really want to do. You're doing us a gigantic favor. Can you do this interview for us? It would really mean so much. But he was like, all day I've been working and I've done this and I've done that. And I came to New Orleans and I can't even enjoy it. And I'm here and I'm there and I'm this and I'm that. And I was like, you know what? Have you had some patty pie? And he said, who has patty pie? And I said, we have a bunch of patty pie. Do you want some patty pie? Like, we just interviewed Patti LaBelle and we have a bunch of pie. And he says, my grandmother, today is her birthday. And he said, I'm not with my grandmother. He said, I wanted to be with my grandmother on her birthday, but I came here because I got to work and I got to do that. And he said, my grandmother, she makes this beautiful sweet potato pie. And I wish I was there with my grandmother. And I said, well, it's not your grandmother's pie. But maybe, you can have this patty pie and you can call your grandmother and maybe she can eat the pie and you can eat the pie. It'll be like a grandmother, grandson bonding. Y'all not together, so it's like you are. And he was like, okay. He said, where's the pie? And I said, well, the pie is in room B. He said, the pie is in room B? I said, the pie is in room B. He said, okay, let's go get the pie. So we walked to room B. He walked in. He said, where's the pie? I said, here's the pie. It was my pie. I gave him my pie. I said, here's the pie. And he said, this looked good. He opened it. He smelled it. He said, oh, this looked good. It smelled good. And I said, yeah, I heard it's really good. Like I've never had the patty pie. And he's like, oh yeah, the patty, this is good pie. This is good pie. I said, okay, all right. You've had it. I haven't. I've never had the pie. This is my pie. Okay, whatever. So we sit down and Omari has the pie like on his lap. And I said, Omari, did you want to give the pie to one of your people so they can hold the pie during the interview? And he said, no, I just put it on this table right here so it stays with me. Okay. Put the pie on the table. He said, yeah, I'm going to put the pie on the table so it stays with me. I said, okay. So he put the pie right on the table next to him. So it was within arm's reach. Him and the pie. The pie was right there. Could nobody take that pie from him? So we had a nice conversation. It started off well. We talked about power. We talked about some of his other projects. We talked about what was next. We talked about the things he likes to do, the hobbies he likes to do off camera. We had a wonderful conversation. It was going really well. And I said, Omari, let me ask you something. You are a very lovely man. And I said, why don't you ever play lovely man characters? And he said, what do you mean? I said, Omari, you play a lot of characters that like to cheat. Like you don't really play a lot of upstanding black men characters. He damn near flipped on me. And he was like, I played this and I played this and I played this. He said, people only want to focus on the negative when it comes to the black man. And I was like, oh shit. And I said, Omari, that's not what I'm trying to say. I was like, I'm thinking of characters like, Power. The Tyler Perry movie, you gave HIV to Janet Jackson. There was something else too where he was derelict. And I was like, you played a lot of derelict. And he was like, that's not true. I've also done. And I was like, okay, we're going nowhere with this conversation. We're just going to have to move along. He was 38 hot with me. I think we had to cut that part of the interview because literally like he flipped on me. And not at all that I thought he was going to become violent. Like it wasn't any sorts of ways, anything like that. But like he was visibly and audibly angry at the suggestion that he plays a bunch of like cheating ass men. And I was like, bro, your most famous role is Power. And you were a cheating ass man that was like the crux of the show is like you started cheating with like the Latina chick who died for you, my dude. Yeah. So we finished the interview and then afterward he hugged me like he just hadn't like fucking yelled at me. I want to say like he opened his arms and I went into him for the hug because he wasn't moving away from that pie. And then after like I left, he picked up the pie and was like holding it to his chest and was like, I'm going to go call my grandma. And I was like, you know what? Wish your grandma a happy birthday for me. Like, happy birthday, grandma. I've been so overwhelmed lately between the podcast and writing assignments and other projects. At the end of what can feel like an endless workday, the last thing I want to do is cook dinner. But when your fridge is empty, that urge to order in and skip the cooking happens all too often. But thanks to Daily Harvest, I don't have that takeout temptation anymore. Daily Harvest helps me keep my freezer fully stocked with options that are delivered right to my door and are delicious, nourishing, and ready in minutes. Daily Harvest delivers delicious harvest bowls, soups, flatbreads, snacks, smoothies, lattes, and more, built on organic fruits and vegetables. Daily Harvest has delicious options for any time of day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and dessert. Everything is always on hand in your freezer and ready to enjoy when you need it. Now, I live for their strawberry peach smoothie in the morning. Their healthy, clean options help me stay on track during those busy weekdays and nights. With Daily Harvest, I never have to question if the food I'm eating is good for me. They create food that's both good for my health and the health of the planet. By supporting farmers who invest in practices that increase biodiversity and improve the health of our soil, and delivering food in recyclable and composting packaging, Daily Harvest does the work, so all you have to do is eat. New on the scene is their delicious Harvest Bakes for those moments when you're looking for homemade feels without any of the work. They are ready to bake veg packed dishes sizzling with gourmet level flavors that are big enough to share. You just won't want to. Avoid the takeout temptation and get Daily Harvest. Go to dailyharvest.com/respectable to get up to $40 off your first box. That's dailyharvest.com/respectable for up to $40 off your first box. dailyharvest.com/respectable. The first time I knew Curology was working is when I started to get compliments on my skin. I've been using Curology for over 6 months, and I can see a world of difference in my skin. Curology is game-changing custom skincare made for you by a dermatology provider. They'll create a custom prescription cream for your specific goals, whether that's tackling acne, clogged pores, skin texture, dark spots, fine lines, or something else. You start by taking a short online skin quiz and uploading photos. And if it's a good fit, they'll ship you your formula right to your door. It even has your name on the bottle. I use Curology to even out my skin tone and to get rid of my dark spots. And it was so easy to use. If I knew it was this easy, I would have done it sooner. Get started with Curology just like I did with a free 30-day trial at Curology.com/ratchet. Just pay $5 for shipping and handling. That's CUROLOGY.com/ratchet to start your free 30-day trial. Cancel anytime. Prescription subject to consultation. There's a man by the name of Channing Crowder. I have never heard his name before. I saw him listed as an ex-NFL player. He was on a recent podcast episode. There's video of him that has since gone viral, and he has this issue like many other people, I've never heard a woman really complain about it, with Russell Wilson and his wife of 6 goddamn years, Ciara. These people have been married for 6 years and have created 2 human lives together. They have had no public scandal. In fact, anytime you see them in public, they look absolutely delightful and wonderfully in love. There's been not even rumor, hint, or suggestion of marital strife. And for some reason, men especially, they're offended by Ciara being with Russell. And so Channing Crowder, let me go play the audio for you, because I would repeat it and he'd be like, no one said that. No one gives that much of a fuck. Au contraire. Let's go pull it up.
Yeah, if Russell ain't had that bread, Ciara ain't gonna be with him. Russell Square. Russell Square. Ciara she has a good situation, but you don't leave Future and get with Russell Wilson. The thing is, I think that's what you don't leave Future and get with Russell Wilson. It's a type. Listen, everybody got a type. Yeah, that's true. Everybody has a type. You gonna leave Future and get with Russell Wilson? He's so goddamn square, and I love him on the field. He's a square. Channing. He's a king square. Channing, you go from this level of toxicity, you just want something stable. You want the guy that was sitting with that girl with that big old mouth at the draft that was laughing, and you knew she deserved to be with him. Goofball? Yeah, you want that guy. You want to get with goofballs.
I saw that clip on Baller Alert. You know what? I've talked about Russell and Ciara on so many occasions. I had a big viral moment talking about Russell and Ciara a couple years ago. And my commentary was like, about what I would say now. I was like, I don't understand why men are so adamant to think that women don't want a Russell Wilson. He's an attractive, wide man. He's easy on the eye. Just start there, right? You have a conversation with him and he seems like he has some brains and some sense. That I can recall, I haven't heard anything come out of Russell Wilson's mouth where I'm just like, oh, he's a fucking airhead, or he's a fucking idiot, or he's like a sexist, raging misogynist. He publicly praises his wife. He likes to hang out with his children. He likes to do his sport to the best of his ability. I'm like, what is the problem? He's very wealthy. He's one of the top paid players in the NFL. He's a family man. I don't understand why men think women wouldn't be attracted to a Russell. Dating a Future is exactly what makes you want to go to a Russell. If you date someone who's nonstop conflict and drama, you end up having a kid with them in which there's just more nonstop conflict and drama. And you're just like, you know what? I got a whole kid right now. I can't be on this run the streets, do dumb shit, be involved with drama and conflict and insecurity and instability nonstop. I can't live like this. I need something better. If not for me, for this small human that I've created, because this ain't it. Everything about Future is why somebody would go find a Russell. It's like you've seen the devil up close and you like, oh no, I got to go find something else from this. I can't live like this. I got to find the opposite of this. Ain't that what Russell is? We've seen two people do it. What's my fave? My fave, Lori. She didn't get caught up like Sierra. She got out of that with no baby. God bless her. And then she went and got with a quote unquote square like Michael B. Jordan. I'm like, I'm really confused about how anybody ends up in like fucking relationships sometimes. I really am. Because I'm like, the men that women like, that women admire and look at and be like, that would be great husband material. That's somebody that would be good to like be a father to my children and build a home and build like a long lasting life with. Somebody I could put in like a good 50, 60 year run with. Like when you think of that person, you don't think of fucking Future. Like you think of like, he'd be great to fuck. Nobody thinks about building a life with Future. Even if you have a kid with Future, nobody's thinking about building a life with Future. You think about the child support check you could get off Future. You might think about the come up you could get, but build a life? Nothing about Future says build a life. So I'm really concerned for women and what they're supposed to do, because it's like the men that we admire and that we look at and say, wow, you would make an excellent partner. They're the men that men don't respect or want to be. So like, what the fuck? I also think it's really weird. It's like we make this allowance for men, and not even until a certain age, like all their lives. People just dismiss men's dalliances. You can sow your royal oats like literally for your entire life and never settle down. And people just call you a bachelor. You go from bachelor to zaddy to sugar daddy to whatever. There's all sorts of cutesy names that make allowances for men who just want to basically fuck with no commitment their entire lives, right? We make none of those allowances for women. Like you're never supposed to have any kind of like hoe phase, experimental phase, or just figure out what I want and I'm interested in phase, or I just like sex and I want to have some phase. Like that's not allowed for women. Where's like women's just fun phase? Like men can have I'm going to trust a big butt and a smile phase. Women are supposed to from the time they start dating to only make like these very purposeful, specific moves that position them in order to find a husband. You're always supposed to be on this constant search to find someone, and you're always supposed to behave as if someone is to be considering you. And men just don't have that headache, expectation, I guess is the right word. And it's not a matter of fairness. It's just not sensible. It's just like, why do you think that you want to have an exploratory phase where you just want to fuck chicks that have like big asses or big titties or whatever you're into? Like you just want to fuck, essentially. But I'm like, do you not feel like women also have that urge? Like, do you also feel like women like just want to date people sometimes just to have fun for like the kick and thrill of it all? Like we're looking to like lock down like every single dude we date or hang out with or even be in a relationship with. Sometimes you like date people really seriously, especially in your 20s, which you're like, this shit is just fun. That's it. Men will spend like 25 to 35 with the same woman and then break up with her and go marry somebody else like 6 months later. No one ever asked, like, how did you go from X to Y? It was just like, oh, when he wanted to like take a wife, he went and found wife material. And that just like, people were like, oh, well, that makes entire sense because, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. I was like, I don't understand like how this doesn't apply to Sierra. You date this man, you end up getting pregnant by him, you have a kid with him, and at some point, like, I would be disappointed in Ciara if she didn't look around at her life circumstances and was like, what the fuck am I doing? Because that's entirely what her actions read as. This can't be life. God did not bring me this far to drop me off here. I have to do better, and did. Is that not what she's supposed to do? You date one derelict nigga, so from here and on forever out, that's all you can ever have is derelict niggas? No. She leveled the fuck up like she should, especially with the kid. I don't understand why that bothers men so much, like why that's considered like such a great offense. And that's the other part. This dude is like running his mouth about like Ciara and Russell. This dude was like, you heard the clip, he was like passionately upset about it. Who is this nigga? Like, why is his opinion being given so much weight about Russell and Ciara? Because again, these people have been married 6 fucking years and have created 2 new humans. And y'all still going in about how like, oh, she don't really want to be with him? Huh? This is how people get slapped. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying people do it. Exhibit A, last week at the Oscars. If Russell Wilson pop off and slap somebody, I'm just going to look the other way. I ain't got shit to say about it. I can't believe Russell Wilson slapped somebody. I can't believe he waited 6 years to do it. He should have done that shit around year 2 like Will. Speaking of Will Smith has resigned from the Academy. There's an official name of the Academy. I don't feel like looking it up right now. I'm sorry. I don't know what that means other than he can't vote for awards anymore and he doesn't get screeners to all the films. I don't really know like what him resigning really means other than they can't kick him out because of his behavior at last week's Oscars. The Academy has said that they are pursuing sanctions against him. I don't know what that looks like. I imagine it was probably kicking him out of the Academy, at least for a period of time. I wonder if their sanctions against him will be higher now because they don't have the same clout over him. You know, he thought they were about to fire him and so he quit. And so, you know, it takes away like the impact of you're fired. It's like, well, I just quit. Like, what fucking difference does it make? So I wonder if that's going to change the way that they try to sanction him. I have no idea what sanctions against him could look like. I've heard random people online talk about the possibility of them taking his Oscar. None of my inside Hollywood friends even talk about that. They were like, that's not even like a factor. That's so not going to happen. The Oscar was earned fair and square. And if they take Will Smith's Oscar, then they get called onto the carpet of, well, you got to go back and take like Harvey Weinstein's Oscar and then Roman Polanski's Oscar and then maybe Woody Allen's Oscar. So like maybe they'll ban him from the Oscars for a few years. I think that's fair. Even in my commentary of Will Smith, I've been very blatant in saying like you can't just say reckless shit to people and expect not to get punched in your mouth. Is it the right thing to do? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Is it something that's likely to occur? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Still no word from Chris Rock. At the time of recording, he may say something anytime now. He's currently on tour. We talked about what he said last week in Boston. I saw that he's been hanging out in Boston. There was a picture of him that went viral. He went to the movies by himself and someone took a picture with him. And people were like, oh, he looks so sad. He looks so lonely. He's going to the movies by himself. I would have gone with you, Chris Rock. I don't think it's that serious. I think the grown-ass man just want to go to the movies and watch a movie. Going to the movies alone doesn't mean you're lonely. It just means you're going to the movies alone. It doesn't mean there's no one to go with you. It means you may not have called anyone because you didn't want anyone to go. You just want to go to the goddamn movies and eat your popcorn. That's all it means. People are like, oh, he looks sad. He looked like somebody who got ran up on by a fan and really didn't feel like taking a picture, but took one anyway. That's what he looked like. People just be reading all sorts of shit. You know what I did find amusing? Chris Rock, before he got slapped by Will Smith, Chris Rock was set to announce the documentaries that were up for Oscars. And the one that won was Summer of Soul, which was a documentary done by Questlove and what Chris Rock referred to as, I want to say, 4 white guys. Questlove is the celebrity attachment to the documentary, which made everybody pay attention to it. But there were other people, 3 of them were white guys, And one of them was an Indian American producer named Joseph Patel. Joseph Patel, as if Chris Rock wasn't dealing with enough. But I kind of felt where he was coming from, because I was like, I'm not white, obviously. If somebody who referred to me as so-and-so and those 4 white people, and I was included in the white people, I would feel a certain way. So Sir does feel a certain way. So he got on Twitter and he said of Chris Rock's description, which I think is worth noting, Chris Rock also made the same joke about Questlove and 4 white guys a couple days earlier at the Roots Jam. So he was like, this is a bit. It's not like he got smacked in the face and was like discombobulated. He was like, no, this was his interpretation of me nights earlier. I wondered, I was like, did he say something to him nights earlier? Like, don't call me a white guy, something. So he got on Twitter and he said of being referred to as 4 white guys, he says, what a shitty, disrespectful thing to do. He said, quote, I'm angry at Will Smith, angry at Chris Rock, angry for me, angry for Amir, angry for my fellow filmmakers. Thank you, Chris, you absolute fucking dick. I don't know why that's so funny to me. It's just like this Oscars has brought out the worst in everyone. Like, people are just losing it. All these white people talking about they're traumatized. Did you see that? I don't have the story in front of me. It comes to mind because I'm talking about this gentleman. Amy Schumer was like, I'm traumatized from what I saw at the Oscars. Did you get slapped? Folks are acting like somebody pulled out a gun and killed somebody on the Oscar stage. Nobody else was in danger in that moment other than Chris Rock. It's not like, Sir was walking around with a machine gun and anybody could get it and you were all in fear of their lives. It wasn't like, you weren't like a liberal congressperson on January 6th. You were just at the goddamn Oscars. And Will Smith's anger, people keep calling it rage. And I was like, he slapped the man open hand and turned around and walked back to his seat, sat down and crossed his legs. That's not rage. He was over that nigga and decided that you specifically, sir, are going to be taught a lesson. There was nothing to fear. Chris Rock wasn't even afraid. People didn't even realize that he was serious until he started yelling, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. And that's when they realized, like, oh, that wasn't a skit? Now you're traumatized. Of what? That's your white lady Emmett Till jeans hopping out. You can't help yourself, but you need to. I was so traumatized. Of what? A slap? Girl, bye. I'm going to save our TV recaps for next week because we talked about so much this week. I want to talk about Young, Famous, and African. I want to talk about that Gerard Carmichael special on HBO Max, which, woo-wee! If you hadn't had a chance to watch that, please do. Oh, we could talk about this last but not least because this is a small piece. I told you about Winning Time, the story about the rise of the Lakers in the 80s, Showtime, and it focuses on Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Norm Nixon and a couple other folks. I don't even know the name of Wood Harris's character. He came in this episode, and the running joke with him is that he had circumcised his own dick. Look, the guy was played by Wood Harris, who took all of his clothes off and showed everyone his dick. Now, the camera did not show us Wood Harris's dick, but they showed us every other part of Wood Harris, including his full body and his bare ass. Look, I don't know if that was a double or Wood Harris has been in the gym all this time and we didn't notice. Wood Harris been working the fuck out. Wood Harris is finely formed and his ass is sublime. Do yourself a favor and go watch Winning Time. I had to stop and rewind and I was like, is that Wood Harris? I always thought Wood Harris had some energy to him. I thought he had some energy in Paid in Full. I definitely thought he had some energy when he was in The Wire. I thought he had some energy when he was playing a manager in a New Edition movie. Naked Wood Harris got energy too. Like, woo-wee. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Bless yourself and go watch Wood Harris's ass in Winning Time. It's beautiful. It's high. It's a work of art. Firm. Finely formed. Amen. All right. We have not covered everything, but we have covered some things. We will cover some more things when we get back on Friday. Until such time, if you have not picked up your merchandise for Ratchet and Respectable, please do. Please support the podcast. I greatly appreciate it when you do. You can find merchandise on demetriallucas.com. We have tees, we have sweats, we have hoodies, we have mugs, we have many things. So pick a thing, order a thing, and I will send you a thing. Okay? We will talk again on Friday. Bye.